What is up, YouTube? I think we left off talking about intermittent fasting. So today, hold up. If I'm having trouble looking at the camera, it's because there's a freaking light in my face because I'm trying to better the lighting for the channel, but I'll perfect that later. Today, we are going to talk about carb refeeds and cheat meals, as I said we would talk about last video. And after this talk, I will guide y'all through a pull workout. I will post a timestamp right here if you guys don't want to hear about a carb refeed or a cheat meal. When do I advise to do a cheat meal? Probably never, unless you're like not. I mean, if you're not competing, it doesn't really matter. But if you're like if you're like someone who's diligently dieting and like you're like actually trying to like consistently lose weight, if you care about weighing yourself every day and like wanting to see that number go down, you are not going to see that number go down very consistently if you're having like a cheat meal very often. So let's just like get that out the way right now. I'm not going to talk about cheat meals in this video because there really is like. I did say last video that there was one way that I could think of that cheat meals would benefit you, but now that I think about it, not really. It was bullshit. At the end of the day, a carb refeed is better than a cheat meal in almost every way possible, except for like taste, I guess, because obviously like on a carb refeed, you're eating more carbs and your fat, because you're eating more carbs, your fat and your protein kind of fall behind, and people often enjoy eating fat more. I definitely like eating fat more, but I haven't eaten over 50 grams of fat in 4 months now, so rough life. Anyway, let's start off with defining what a carb refeed is. Pretty much exactly what it says. When you're dieting, your carb levels are like very low, and they go down and down and down as you lose weight. Because as you lose weight, you have to decrease your macros, except for your protein. Protein usually stays the same. Your fat generally stays the same, moves like maybe 2-3 grams every couple of weeks. But your carbs will always go down like by 10 to 15 every like 2-3 weeks. So as you're going down on those carbs, you have a hormone called leptin, which is produced from your fat cells, and that is a hormone that kind of tells your body like how your body feels in terms of hunger and energy. Leptin kind of, when you're not eating enough like carbs and you're not getting enough sugar in your body, leptin's kind of telling your body to like conserve whatever energy you have in there, which kind of goes back to my like intermittent fasting talk, because your insulin levels, as they deplete, you have less stored energy in your body, and so for that reason your leptin hormone is going to tell your body that you need more energy. And because your body is hearing that you need more energy, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to start craving things, and then the mood swings are going to come. You're going to get hangry, you're going to perform pretty crappy in the gym, you're just going to see all of these negative consequences happen because either you've been dieting for too long or your carbs are too low. Number one thing, before I proceed, is if you're dieting, guys, it is a very common misconception that carbs are bad for you. Carbs are a very good macronutrient for you. They are your immediate energy. Fat is the long-term energy, and like the more fat you're eating, that's when you get fucking fat, is when you're eating a lot of fat, because that's long-term energy. Your body can't just keep using fat and fat and fat, but your body can use carbs and carbs and carbs. Like whatever carbs you're taking in, your body's using that first, and then it goes to your fat. But if you're taking in excess fat, there's no such thing as a fat refeed, because the fat is just gonna always be there until you burn it off, which is like, go back to my intermittent fasting if you're trying to burn your fat off really fast. So when to refeed? I would say refeed like whenever you're losing more than 2 pounds a week, if you're a male, and if you're losing more than 1 pound a week if you're a female, either your carbs are too low or you're just like, yeah, your carbs are too low. So there's 2 ways to fix that. You either knock your carbs up a little bit, like I'd say like 10-15 grams, or you have a refeed. I wouldn't advise you to have a carb refeed if you're dieting, if you've only been dieting for like a month or two. I would say like get a little lean first, cut off some of that body fat, you know, let your carbs go down a little bit, and then you can like really benefit from a carb refeed. A carb refeed, like I said, is a good response to the decrease in your leptin levels and the decrease in your insulin levels. It'll spike both of those things back up. It'll spike your metabolism back up. So it's also good for people who are like kind of stalling in their diet. If you haven't lost weight for like a week or two, then you're probably like, your body's just probably deprived from dieting, and you know, your metabolism is probably low, because as you're dieting, as you're decreasing those carbs, your metabolism's taking a hit, your leptin levels are taking a hit, your glycogen levels are taking a hit, so you're not going to perform well in the gym. So in order to bring all those things back up, you have to have a carb refeed. If you have a cheat meal, you are kind of benefiting in a sense from like the increase in carbs, because I imagine whatever fat-rich things that you guys are eating will have a lot of carbs in it too. But the whole point of carb refeeding is to be able to, you know, still like kind of diet down, have that refeed, and your weigh-ins are not going to go up, or you're not going to feel you're not going to feel fat the next day. It's almost kind of like a normal day, but you get to eat more and you get to benefit from it on your diet. And usually like you'll see, if you have a carb refeed, then the next day when you work out, you can have a really badass workout, you're gonna look really good, the pump is gonna be there. So carb refeeding is also good for that reason. So if you carb refeed, take your camera to the gym with you the next day and take some pictures, because you will look badass. In all seriousness, I would say carb refeed at least 2 months into your diet, or like, okay, maybe a month into your diet. If you've lost like 10 pounds, I'd say it's safe to start refeeding. And how often do you refeed? The leaner you get, the more you want to refeed. If you're losing 2 pounds a week, I mean, if you're losing like 2 pounds a week, then I'd say a refeed like once a week. And then if you're starting to lose weight like a little slower, because the fat's kind of like holding on for dear life, you know, because the less body fat you get, the harder your fat is holding on to your body and the harder it is to burn that fat. So at that point, that's when you start refeeding twice a week. I'm personally refeeding twice a week right now. Carb refeeds are different from cheat meals in the sense that you're tracking them. You're tracking your increase in carbs, and you're tracking like how you're dialing back on your protein and fat. Whereas if you're cheating, if you're having a cheat meal, you're not tracking anything. You're just going to fucking McDonald's or Taco Bell, or like, I don't know what y'all like, but I don't mind fast food. So y'all are going to those like places, eating whatever the fuck you want. And obviously like all of that food is extremely high in fat. So you're not gonna benefit from that. But if you do refeed, however, you will benefit in almost every way, as long as your body needs the refeed. When to refeed? 1, if you're losing weight really fast. 2, if you feel like shit. If you feel crappy, like if your body isn't responding well in the gym, if you're just like kind of upset all the time, and like if you're seeing the diet just catch up with your life, like psychologically and physically, then you need a refeed. A refeed is more like of a psychological benefit than anything, because it just kind of gives once your leptin levels go back up, the cravings go away, the moody kind of like hungry feeling goes away, your stomach just feels fuller, you look fuller, so you're able to like see yourself, you know, you're able to see your progress more in the gym. So for people who are dieting down, I know this is like a big problem for me. When you're dieting like consistently and like over a long period of time, you're gonna start looking flat. But like, you need to understand that because you're constantly in that deficit, that's not actually how you look. You don't actually look that flat around the clock. If you were to fill your body up one day, which is this carb refeed day, if you were to fill it up with the right amount of carbs, like an adequate amount of protein, and like an adequate amount of fat, you will see like your body kind of fill up like in a good way. You're not gonna like look bloated and shit, but like you're gonna see like all these muscles like kind of pop out. You're gonna see the veins kind of showing up. You're gonna see everything, you know, everything that should be there is gonna be there. That is kind of like how you look raw, like, because when you're about to compete, if you're competing, you're gonna have a couple of days like leading up to the show where you spike your carbs up, and that's what fills you out. That's how you look when you go to the stage. When you're depleted of carbs and stuff, that's not people who are like those guys that you see on the stage and stuff, like everyone you see on Instagram, those aren't people who are like constantly deprived of carbs. That's what a carb refeed will have you looking like. Whereas a cheat meal will have you looking like a fucking, you'll have a beer belly. That's similar to what a cheat meal will do. Now, with that said, cheat meals are normal. Like, we're all human. We all fuck up. I don't know. I haven't fucked up this diet yet. I'm just saying. I'm 20 weeks in and I haven't fucked up. But most people fuck up. And it is very common to have a cheat meal like once or twice in a prep. So if you do have a cheat meal instead of a carb refeed, if your body just caves like that, don't worry about it. Don't try and first of all, don't regret it. Just keep moving forward. Never look backwards when you're dieting. Like, never worry about what you did yesterday, or if you kind of slow down for a second, just pick yourself back up, keep it moving. And the leaner you get, once you see the results, your mind is gonna want you to refeed instead of having a cheat meal, because you're not gonna want to sabotage whatever gains you've already made. Let me just jog the memory back real quick. What is a refeed? It's pretty much a spike in your metabolism, your insulin, your leptin, your glycogen. It's a spike in everything that you need to progress, pretty much. When do you have a refeed? You have it when you feel like you need one. And by feeling like you need one, don't fucking refeed when you're a couple weeks into your diet and you're just kind of oh fuck, I'm kind of hungry. No. If you feel like shit, if you're working out and you're the weight's not going up, or you just look really flat, or if something's clearly wrong, that's when you refeed. And always track your refeeds. So if you guys need help tracking those refeeds, if you guys need to know how much of what to eat, I'll always say dial back on your protein a little bit. For refeeds, I usually do 0.85 grams per pound of body weight. So 0.85 times your body weight. For me, it would be 0.85 times 167 now, but I've kind of kept my protein the same on my refeeds. It's always around 150. How many fats do you eat? I always cut the fats by 10 grams. So I usually eat 50 grams of fat a day, right? So every refeed this prep for the past 20 weeks has been about 40 grams of fat, which is a big deficit if you think about it. That's a fifth of the fat that you're taking in every day. And the reason that we cut back on the proteins and the fats is so that you have more room to eat more carbs, and your body's not gonna fluctuate in weight because of it, because you're taking away from those other macros. Because those macros are composed of calories. There's 4 calories in every gram of protein and 9 calories in every gram of fat. So once you're taking 10 grams of fat away, there you go, 90 calories. Once you're taking 15, 20 grams of protein away, there you go, 80 calories. So let's do the math here. I said 90 plus 80, so 170. Let's just say 160, there you go, that's an extra 40 carbs that you get to play with. Except you are gonna go in a little bit of a surplus here during your carb refeed. You're not only gonna go up by 40, but the decrease in macros allows you to go up a higher amount and have less consequences for it. Go 2 times your body weight and take in that many carbs, or maybe even 1.8 times your body weight. And that should be the amount of grams of carbs that you're taking in for your refeed. Once you have that refeed, when you weigh in the next day, you should not weigh anything more than a pound or a pound and a half above however much you weighed prior to that refeed. If you weigh more than 2 pounds heavier than you did the previous day after you refed, then you either went too high in another macro, you probably took in too much fat, or you probably did something wrong. You might not have drank enough water. You might have eaten too late. That could affect your weigh-in. But if it's anything drastic, then you probably went too high on your carbs. So always be conscious of how much you're taking in. Don't overdo the refeed, because the whole point of a carb refeed is to manipulate your macros in a way that it'll be beneficial for you to have that refeed day. Common tool that dieters use in order to spike their metabolisms and kind of get everything going again, because the more you diet, you're going to experience more and more fat loss plateaus. You're going to have a harder time burning that weight off. So that's why the carb refeeds get more frequent. So I hope I did a decent job of explaining what a carb refeed was. I hope I did a decent job of explaining when to have a carb refeed and how often to have a carb refeed. And if I wasn't clear about anything, you can, you know, DM me, or like, you know, if you need help with anything, just DM me on Instagram or like comment down below. I recorded a pull workout for y'all. I'm just gonna do the same thing I did last time, just type in text and like kind of tell y'all what to do and how much of it to do, and kind of like how to do it if it, you know, it doesn't look obvious enough. And after that, that's it. So I'm gonna end the video after that workout. I hope y'all enjoyed watching this video. I hope y'all learned something from it. If you guys enjoyed it, please thumbs up, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. If you don't, who knows, maybe you found me on YouTube. I saw some guy comment on my last video that doesn't follow me on Instagram, I'm pretty sure, so that must mean that my YouTube videos are finally like reaching a different audience, so I am happy about that. So yeah, my Instagram is right here, and I will see y'all in this little pool.
Everything around me is a lie, just a memory.